Mhm. Um, yeah, so what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is like, I guess, the ground, the foundation for many of these practices that we've been talking about. Yoga and Buddhism being very similar to yoga, and even some of Sufism and the tantras, and what's derived from the Vedas, all sort of has its foundation in mindfulness. So um, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is an ability to be present in the moment, being able to kind of recruit all of the faculties of your mind, the faculties of your body, your emotions, and to kind of harness them in the present moment via awareness, being aware of what is happening around you. So um, I also want to say that, you mentioned that there's kind of this reluctance to recognize some of the mental health issues that we're facing. The same thing is happening in the United States. And just to be kind of validating of why we're here and the increased challenge that we're facing right now, I know that depression is up 3 times what it normally is in the United States. And the majority of Americans have reported symptoms of depression just over this past, 7 months or so. So um, I think what's really important is breaking down those barriers and talking about and discussing and kind of opening up these pathways. So I really commend you for doing that. Um, and then, back to mindfulness, how do we develop mindfulness? I think we develop it through these techniques. So even very gentle stretching will, develop that mindfulness, that ability to know where your body is in time and space and understand what you're feeling, physically in the body. And then jhana yoga would be, a type of yoga that's a little bit more investigating of the mind, of the intellect, and it's the form of wisdom yoga. So this is an ancient style of yoga, and there are many questions. There's these initial questions that actually translate into mantras in yoga, and some of them are, the famous question of who am I, or the mantra of I am that, or what is really true, or you know what is who, I guess, is what is my true self, is my atma, is my purusha. So the atma being the true self, the purusha being your soul. So all of these questions are taking you like right to the root and right to that highest place. And so those questions, which are often ancient initiatory practices in yoga, obviously draw you right into mindfulness. But some of the things that I use on a regular basis for mindfulness are journaling. I think guided journaling, like guided meditation, is really important, because what we don't want to do is be kind of ruminating and repeating negative emotions. So from even just an anxiety or a depression sort of standpoint, or from a PTSD or a trauma sort of standpoint, we want to avoid kind of cycles of rumination, and yet we want to use something as a guide, which could be any of these tantric questions, or these, ancient meditative questions that guide many of these paths, like what is really true in this moment, grounding techniques of what is my body feeling right now, what is the temperature around me, acknowledging what emotions are present inside of you. So from a psychological standpoint, the naming of those emotions is a really positive step. It actually kind of takes the power away from those emotions and draws it back to you. Um, and then using the breath to move you into the parasympathetic nervous system as opposed to the sympathetic nervous system. So often we're operating via cortisol, shots of, chemicals coursing through our body that are causing us stress, and they're in relation to every little notification you get on your phone. So I would honestly say go ahead and disable those, because there's plenty of research on how those do inspire that kind of response of anxiety in the body. And So we have all of these kind of technological and then relational aspects just in our society and the way that it functions in our job and our families and all of these things that cause us stress. And so that increases the cortisol in our body. So anything that we can do to move us into the parasympathetic nervous system more of the time, any additional minute of the day is really positive. And that can be just sitting and acknowledging what you're seeing. So this is kind of the foundation of mindfulness. I am seeing this wall. I am noticing this tree. I'm seeing this animal do this. My breath is moving this way. My breath is starting to calm down. I feel the ground beneath me. So these are some of the most basic kind of grounding mindfulness techniques that are often used in trauma response, but they're really positive for anyone that wants to incorporate them. So, mindfulness is this ability to be present and to cultivate that. I think we have to learn to set aside some time, even if it's just a few moments out of the day, um, to practice mindfulness and, like that muscle in the mind, develop more of that gray matter, which allows us more of that presence in the current moment. So I'm hoping that this is um, kind of registering and there's some connections happening for those on the call. So journaling can be a good way to do that. Even like discussing emotions, discussing some of the things that you've set up this organization to address. Some of the guided meditations, sound, and anything that's relaxing that basically moves you into your body into this rest, relax, and digest kind of situation, which then secretes serotonin in the body and more of the kind of positive chemicals that the GABA, that's the positive neurotransmitter in your brain that allows some of these positive systems to then begin moving in that direction of the parasympathetic nervous system. I hope this is making sense. So every little thing that you do basically that helps you to relax, that helps you be present, um, all of those things are really important.